Tell me, where were you born?
I was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya, Nairobi city of Kenya.
Wow.
It's a very unique place because it is one of the few cities in the world to enjoy the best of Western world. And
Wow.
I was born in a place called Langata. And Langata is a Maasai word which means cools water.
Wow.
So you're in Nairobi, you're in Kenya where it's hot, but you also get to enjoy the cool weather. Get to enjoy the safari and everything else that comes with it. And I come from a big family of five girls and one boy.
Wow.
And I grew up with my mother and my father. And
Okay.
my grandparents were also my grandparents and my extended family. And when I talk of extended family, I talk about cousins, aunts, uncles, neighbors, you name it.
Wow.
In my
Wow.
Yes. Um, and I schooled in Kenya. And then when I finished secondary school, which is high school, I then went in South Africa and I started in the hospitality industry. And then from South Africa, I went to Canada. And then finally, the best place in the world, New York.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
let me just say, I just feel that New York is more than lucky to have someone like Mrs. Pauline in our world.
And
She is a breath of fresh air every time that we see her every morning. We'll talk about that. But go ahead. Uh huh.
yeah. And so that's how I got into hospitality. When I was in South Africa, Canada, um, I did, hospitality. And then when I moved to New York, I now moved into food.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for starting off in hospitality because comes food, there has to be a hospitality way of handling things, and comes hospitality, food is also, they coexist. You can't have one without the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when I moved here, I went into culinary school. Uh, and then from there now, I learned both worlds, the front of the house and the back of the house. But health, nutrition, and just living a holistic lifestyle has always been something that's big for me.
Wow. And let me
Yeah.
ask you, how important is health and eating and what we eat
Mhm.
to you today?
Um, Very, very, very important. I think that is good health and how we eat actually is the unsung hero of life.
Wow.
You can go on every day, you have the beautiful house and the amazing cars and the beautiful children, wife and husband, whatever you have, and that fantastic job and that fat salary. But if you're not eating well, you're not fueling your body well. And if you're not fueling your body well, your mind is not working. So
Absolutely.
what good are you? So eating well is very important. And you'll find yourself that when you start eating well, other aspects of your life will also just want to align with that.
Wow.
You'll start
Yes.
taking care of your body more, and you'll start taking care of your mind. And when I speak of your mind, you'll start taking care of your mind is, who are you associating yourself with? What are your thoughts? What do you manifest in what you want in life, just from starting to eat right?
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's powerful.
Yeah,
That's powerful.
because what you put in is
Yeah.
what you will also put out.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my African friends, I used to do security around where we are
Yeah.
now,
Mm-hmm.
and I would being a supervisor at that particular time. It was hot day, summertime, Miss
Yeah.
Pauline, and I mean, sometimes I'm always led to just go to the store, buy some water for
Mm-hmm.
everybody because we had different booths around while they were building where we are
Oh,
now,
yeah. And that
and
was a huge project when we were
huge prop.
building Soniat, right?
Yeah, we had over like 30, 40, 50 guards stationed different places,
Yeah.
and I ran into one of my African brothers, and he was at gate 13 to be exact. And
Yeah.
I gave him a bottle of water, and he looked at me. He says, "Did you buy this out with out of your pockets?" I says yes. I says I believe everybody need. I shouldn't be in an air conditioned, place while you guys are in a hot hut. I
Yeah.
says, somebody ought to do something. He says, let me tell you what they say where we come from. I
Mm-hmm.
says, what's he says? He says, he who give water, give life.
Give life. Yeah.
And when he said that, it just resonated with me. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I never looked at water the same ever since.
Ever since. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now tell me more about, not only the health and cooking, but now your grandma used to
Mm-hmm.
cook, is what you're saying.
Yes. My grandmother used to cook, and
Okay.
a big portion of actually when you and Donald, one of the actually today I'm going to share with you
Okay.
the introduction of the book and the biography.
Wow.
I dedicated this book to my grandma because my grandma was not only a good cook, she was also a very, very good farmer. She had the green thumb. And
Wow.
we got to visit her during the school holidays,
Mm-hmm.
maybe once or usually at least twice a year. And we'll spend a few weeks with her. And then she would come to the city and visit us maybe twice a year
Right.
and would spend time with us.
Okay.
And there are certain things that I learned from her.
Mm.
Some maybe she taught us, or some she assumed we knew because that's how they do things.
Right.
Um, that no one in this world would ever teach me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, and my grandmother, I think up just her last maybe year or two, she went to hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother never really used modern medicine, went to the hospitals. It was all, like holistic living with plants and food and,
Right. Right.
and doing
Wow.
the right thing, whether someone
Yes.
is watching or not, or the expectations are there or not. And so was my grandfather. My grandfather lived until he was 102, and my grandmother lived until she was in her late 80s.
That's
My
amazing.
grandfather was way older than my grandmother. And so I learned certain things from her. I learned, you don't waste food even when you have it. I
Yes.
learned you share food and everything. And I think food is more enjoyable, Donald, when you're sharing it with friends
Absolutely.
and family, you know?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Yes.
think of how you gave that water to this African brother, but then he taught you something that you probably will never forget in your life?
Never forget my
Yeah.
life. Never.
Um, and then I just learned simplicity and basics when it comes to food with my grandmother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, I learned basic farming. Never wanted to be a farmer or anything, but
Right.
even in the spring, when we prepare our gardens and you plant something,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
um, my fresh herbs and little um, vegetables or like your kitchen garden will always thrive.
Yes.
Um, and I learned um, how to take care of yourself, or little remedies here and there that you could use with food, food as
Yes.
healing.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
Wow.
she was a very, very important person, and shaped part of my career.
Yes.
I remember when I was in my first year of high school, we had traveled to the city. There was no second year of high school. My grandpa had died. No, was it my grandpa or uncle? My grandpa.
Okay.
And so we went for the funeral. And I clearly remember, that's when I started paying attention. So traditionally, you have your house, but we also have a kitchen outside of the house.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We really, you can cook inside, not, nobody really cares. But
Right.
a lot of the foods was cooked outside.
Right. Okay.
And in now starting to pay attention, in her kitchen, she had um like pots hanging from, like, how you have hanging flowers and plants here.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but those
Yes.
containers of, if it was greens, like she's drying her vegetables, or
Wow.
she was preserving the eggs, or whatever she did and everything. And
Yeah.
that just started to open up my eyes and everything. In
Okay.
fact, I have a dedicated chapter on the book on food preservations, and
Right.
a lot of it is from watching my grandmother how she preserved fish, meat. She had a
Wow.
granary of grains, from maize, millet, sorghum, beans, things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So
And,
my
la-
grandmother was very important. Yes.
and ladies and gentlemen, let me just say to you that Mrs. Pauline is coming out with a book it's in transition right now,
Yes.
going through the publishing and things like that. And these are a plethora of recipes from her grandma that she's breaking down for us to understand how to cook it, because the way that her grandma have cooked was a special way that if it's not explained properly, we would not
Mhm.
be able to know exactly what to how many ounces and what to do.
Yes.
So Miss Pauline is here to help us to understand not only how healthy we should be and what we should watch and what we should eat, but the recipes that's going to be in this book that's going to help change our lives if we were to even to indulge, even in one of the recipes. And I'm sure that it's going to be more than great. I'm going to be one of them who will purchase the book as soon as it come out. And
Thank
so
you.
Miss Pauline was saying to me, that that's her objective, to break down, how to properly do this. And so I'm glad that you're here to do it for us, Miss Pauline. Oh my. Hey, what's up, everybody? Did you not know that we're giving away prizes right here on Manifested Thoughts Podcast? All you have to do is email us at manifestedthoughts888@gmail.com. Manifestedthoughts888@gmail.com. Back to the program. You're in. First of all, let me just say you're into so many other things that people don't even know about.
Yeah.
She's a journalist, she's a writer. She's an entrepreneur, she's a leader. She's a role model for
And a
women
mother.
and a mother. Come
Yes.
on, and she does so much. And I dare not give a disclosure of where we from and where we work. Don't worry about that. Just know
You'll
that
know that one day in the.
one day, and I tell you, this woman that we have, this jewel, this diamond that we have on this platform, is someone you're going to be hearing about more than soon.
Yeah.
Because she's already done stuff. Now tell me, out of the book that is being printed up and things like that, you're going to be doing some talking, some speeches. You're going to go around doing some presentations and stuff like that. Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Before I say that, I'll say, and a
Yes.
lot of these recipes are not necessarily all from my grandmother. They're from
Okay.
grandmothers in Africa.
Got you.
There's a lot of, recipes from Egypt and Morocco,
Yes.
the
Wow.
North Africa, East,
Wow.
West, South Africa, the middle of Africa. And
Yes.
basically, we took how our grandmothers were eating and providing it. So it's a
Wow.
gift from the grandmothers of Africa to the rest of the world.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. But to
And
answer your question, yes, I'm going to be doing, there's quite a few book launch events that are going to be there.
good.
There's going to be some media events. There's going to be, you have to give back to society. There's going
Yes.
to be appearances where it's assisting raising funds in
Yeah.
providing resources for the less fortunate, or just giving
Yes.
out information and everything. And I'm going to share a series of dates and places once everything is in place.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Wonderful. I oftentimes say, Pauline, that whatever it is that's not written is not real.
Yeah.
Mr. Peter Voog had said that, and reasons come first, results come second.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to hone in on some of our African American brothers and sisters, though, and to help encourage them, to know that, listen, sometimes we can stand in our own way if we don't eat healthy, if we don't stick to the plan, if we don't write anything down. Is it important to subscribe to the now or subscribe to the later on? And how important is it? And when I say subscribe, I simply means that is it important for us to say, you know what, if I'm going to do something, let me get on it now, rather than subscribe to say I'll do it later. And how important is it for us to, follow our dreams, write things down, and do it now rather than just wait until next week?
I think it's important to get a balance of the two.
Got you.
Mm. I think, when you keep talking about something, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, but you're not planning,
Absolutely.
you're wasting your time.
Wow.
So if there's something in your mind and you manifest it and you're thinking about it and you want to do it, there is no better time than starting it now.
Wow. Yeah.
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 However, starting it now also requires planning,
Ooh,
and
yes.
you cannot
Yes.
plan too much, you know? I'm planning right now. One of my plans is I want to open a business where I will have spice blends and, all of that,
Yes.
that will speak on the history of the spice route of Africa.
Wow.
But it's been something that's been in my mind for a long time, but it's something that I need to plan
Yes.
to start today, where every day I make a conscious effort to speak to someone, to spread the word, to follow up on what I want to do. So
Yes.
it's very important that you balance out the two, because one cannot work without the other one. Now,
Absolutely.
depending on what religion you believe in, depending on what God you follow, you know, if you look at all religious teachings out there,
Yes.
when you ask, it's given unto you. And when you ask, you put your effort to.
Yes.
Part of
Yes.
that effort is planning.
Yes.
Now, if
Wow.
you want to think of it on a capitalist way of thinking about it, where as long as I have the money, I can make it happen. If you don't plan for this money, you're wasting your time.
Wow.
But you also have to have the confidence and the courage that I'm going to do it now and just make this decision.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would say it's a balance of the two. Subscribe to being spontaneous and knowing that with that comes with consequences. And are you ready to jump on when those consequences come? Because, Donald, there are times where your instinct will tell you, oh, do this, brother. And you
Absolutely.
do it and it turns out fantastic. But are you ready for that opportunity? Are you ready for that, to put in the money and grow this idea?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, you have a substantial money or an opportunity to do something, you have to go sit down and say, okay, how am I gonna balance this out to pay my employees and to pay insurance or to do this or to invest here and there? So it's all about a balance.
Absolutely. Wow, that's powerful,
Mm.
Pauline. That's beautiful. And one of my questions that I was going to ask you, you have already touched on it,
Yeah.
and that is to properly plan. How important is it to prepare the night before, the week
Mm-hmm.
before, the month before?
Yes.
And there's a guy. I keep forgetting his name. He's a producer, and he does movies and things like that. And I'll get his name a little later. And
Mm-hmm.
he says sometimes there are people who spend more time in their belief about a thing rather than work toward the thing that they
Yeah.
believe to come to pass. And he was saying that if we can just follow the plan, you'll make out very, very well.
Mhm.
And so, Pauline, let me ask you this, because I know you have company and stuff, so I'm not going to hold you
No,
too
no,
long.
no. That's fine. That's fine.
How important is consistency?
Consistency is very important, because when you're consistent with something, you consistency will build a routine. Routines and consistency build discipline. Yeah.
Wow.
With discipline comes, opportunities,
Yes.
and you almost will be in a place where you like manifest or come up with better results.
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm consistent with saving an XYZ amount of money every month and keeping it there for a rainy day, when that rainy day comes, I'm not caught unawares. But
Absolutely.
also that consistency and routine of saving that money, also gives me discipline, knowing if I go there and I find that beautiful handbag and that beautiful dress and everything, I don't have to have it for that instant gratification moment where I'll wear it here or I'll do this.
Wow.
I have the discipline of knowing that if I have an emergency, I'm sick, or there's a death in the
Yes.
family or something, I'm not relying on other people. I have the
Absolutely.
resources to tap into.
Hey, what's going on? If you're getting value out of today's program, can you do me a favor? Leave a comment or please press the like button. That'll keep us valid. And I appreciate you very much. Back to the program. Ooh,
So
wow.
being consistent is important. When you're also consistent, if we look at in terms of good health and eating right, if I'm consistent with eating the right thing, then I'm building a good mind and a good body and a healthy living thing.
Wow.
And when you're consistent also, you may be consistent, Donald, with
Yes.
just yourself and certain goals that you're trying to achieve,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
But I'm a firm believer there's always somebody watching you. And these people who watch you, there's a learning aspect. Donald, I'm going to give you an example of where we work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Every day, you're talking to people and talking to people.
Yes.
When you talk to these traders and everyone else at work, one of them, they'll say, yeah, looking good like Donald downstairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Or I have an event, a meeting or whatever. I know if I speak to Pauline or something, this will be produced in within the budget or something and everything. We've set up standards where we are known because we are consistent of how we show up at work. And when I
Yes.
mean how we show up at work, it's not how we only look, in how we carry ourselves, how we talk to people, how we respect people, and our end results. So consistency will always get you better results. But with that also, you also have to learn how to be spontaneous and have change a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This
Just
is good.
because I'm doing it this way
This
every
is good.
day,
Yeah.
you know, you have to be open to change to certain things.
Yes.